Hello and welcome to another edition of Depth of Field. I'm Eric, and as you can see, we're not in our regular location. This is not the Beanduck Studio. Rather, we're doing a special episode. This is our Fantasia episode. Fantasia is a very cool film festival that happens in Montreal. It just wrapped a couple of days ago, and there were a bunch of great films at the festival this year, and we had the opportunity to talk to some of the filmmakers. First up are Brett and Drew Pierce, not Drett and Brew Pierce. They're the brothers behind the movie The Wretched. Their dad actually was the visual effects or the special effects guy for Sam Raimi for the movie Evil Dead. So they grew up in a house of horror, and that certainly bled through into what they do now. A very cool movie, The Wretched. Next up is Malik Bader and Nickola Shreli. They have a gritty New York crime drama called Killerman, which stars Liam Hemsworth. We talked to them. And finally, one of the more interesting movies that I had a chance to see this year at Fantasia, it's called Aquaslash, directed by Renaud Gauthier. And this is a movie where the killer, his playground is basically a water slide, a water park, and it gets pretty bloody and pretty messy. And it's a lot of fun, so stay tuned. We're going to play all three in a row. It's a ton of fun, and that's it. Enjoy. So Brett and Drew Pierce, welcome to Depth of Field.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having us.
First time in Montreal.
Yes.
First time in Montreal.
First time at Fantasia.
Yep.
And you're here presenting your film The Wretched, which was originally called The Hag, if I'm not or just Hag.
Just Hag.
Right.
Yeah. Just Hag.
And it's a movie about a witch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Both apply to witches.
So why did you switch from Hag to Wretched?
Oh, well.
It was we always loved the title Hag. We thought it was like cool and original, but after like kind of telling everybody about it, we had just a percentage of people that hated it. They were like, I would never see a movie. They
Because of political correctness kind of thing?
A little bit, actually. That factored into it a little bit. And, and part of you kind of like, oh, well, but Hag, we're meaning a witch.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but we're like, but I don't want to throw people off from seeing a movie because people would watch it like, we really like your movie. I don't know if I would have went to go see it.
You don't want to alienate people before they come in,
Yeah.
But it must be weird making horror movies and genre movies in an era where political correctness can actually have an impact.
Yeah. I mean, it's something you do consider, and you just have to kind of think about it. You just don't want to put anyone off from watching it. But if you're responsible with what you're doing,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's like if things are in story and they make sense, then you're okay. You're fine. Yeah.
So give me the elevator pitch. What is The Wretched about?
You want to go?
No.
It's like it's a dark fairy tale about a kid who is visiting his father over the summer and dealing with sort of family issues, and becomes convinced that the woman that's living next door is sort of taken over by a 1,000-year-old witch.
As you do, right?
And
It's like you get to the part that's all fantastical and you have a hard time spitting it out. You're like, it's a summer movie and there's drama and then there's a 1,000-year-old witch. Yeah.
Are there witch movies that influenced you guys? Or is it, I mean, I get the sense, I think maybe even I read this somewhere, that you feel that there was a hole, there was a gap to be filled, that there's...
yeah.
We did, and it's funny. Even though we felt there was a gap, we keep on interviewing and hearing, and everyone's like, "Oh, so many witch movies," and I'm like, "Really? I don't feel that way."
We grew up with the book Roald Dahl's The Witches or whatever, and that was just the scariest thing to us when we were kids.
Yeah. Love the movie too. So.
Yeah, and we grew up in the the 80s and 90s with all these like horror movies, but we never felt like there was like a creature witch movie. We always were kind of like waiting, like
There's zombies,
where's the grown up?
There's werewolves, there's vampires, but witches haven't got there.
Yeah, and there's always been this movement in all those other creature genres to like make things more realistic or creepy or like kind of elevate them. And yeah, witches, they tend to usually be like ghost stories, and at the end of the movie, you're like, she murdered her children. And we wanted to tell a story about like a witch creature, like a dark, mother that lives out in the woods and steals children and.
Right. And who this witch also inhibits the skin of real people.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about and why inhibits the skin and not the body? Why the skin?
Well, we found these cool. There's so many cool old mythologies like from different cultures, but we found this one. I think it was called the Boo Hag. It was this story about this woman that goes and seduces a man and marries him, and at night she leaves every night and just disappears. And eventually he kind of gets, he gets curious, so he gets up in the middle of the night and sees her walking away, and she's got no skin on.
Whoa.
And he finds her skin in like the cabinet or something, like tucked away. So the next night he like salts her skin and she comes back and is withering. We're just like, there's something so weird and cool about that, like so bizarre. So that was sort of like the jumping off point, you know?
Yeah.
We had a couple other mythologies, Black Annis, who's like this cool English witch. And we sort of stitched together basically her, who she's like, you know, creepy, blue-faced, you know, blue teeth witch.
Lives in a tree in a cave.
And we fell in love with that. Initially, we were thinking like, let's make a movie for each witch. And then we just wound up stitching a lot of our favorite elements because, you know, they're all sort of loosely based on the same mythology. You know, they all kind of spurred out of the same thing.
And what is, I mean, because this is a little bit removed from the, you know, the Salem witches and that side of witchery. Where does the original, these mythologies, is it Norse? Is it European?
I mean, there's a lot of them that are kind of, I mean, a lot of them are like, you know, Scandinavian, like he was saying, in the UK. A lot of it kind of even evolves from like old myths about like fae, almost like elves kind of type thing. And that there was like these kind of, you know, magical women that eventually kind of devolved into why we called it hag, into these creepy hag creatures that steal women, you know, and that's kind of where
the witch
it started.
Myth is everywhere. Like we kind of explored, there's like a lot of African myths, like they were like, I mean, it's brutal what they were doing. I mean, a lot of it was all about like suppressing like women's sexuality, you know, is what it was. There were a lot of like, you know, just fear of like women who have power, you know, that's kind of where it all stems from. But I feel like every culture sort of like has some different, you know, mythology.
I mean, a lot of it was all, we just noticed like the thing that was consistent through all the folklore was that these creepy old, you know, haggish, wretchy witches were, one, they were jealous of women being able to have children, of fertility, because they were like creatures that couldn't have children, so they feasted on them to stay alive, but also like to play house and, you know, hold babies. And they were also jealous of, it was basically like, we're really unattractive creatures, so we're jealous over the attractive women that were, you know, we're taking their children and stuff. So a lot of those elements, that's what we kind of took and put into the movie. That was the idea. So, yeah.
I'm curious, you know, when we were talking about skin and then, you know, women empowering through sexuality, one of my favorite, or one of the movies that really marked me in the last 10 years was Under the Skin.
Oh, yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
Is that something that, I mean, it's also removed from but was that an influence for you guys?
Actually, it was. We watched it quite a few times. I mean, we would reference it even when talking
I mean, we already
about
had the
doing
script,
some
but
things.
we saw that movie after we had finished the script, and we were just like, this is cool. Like, it's got a cool vibe.
Yeah.
You know?
I got chills, actually.
Yeah, it's scary as you're like developing and writing things when you like, you know, we'll hear about a movie like that and you go see it and you're just like, oh, okay, it's not too similar. You know, there's this paranoia as a filmmaker. You're always
Yeah, you start
worried
doing
that
this thing. You start hearing about witches movies going into production. And you're like, don't be a witch movie like our witch movie, please. You know?
So there's a lot of special effects in this movie. That's something that you guys you grew up with, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if a lot of people know this, but your dad was the special effects guy on Evil Dead.
Yeah.
With Sam Raimi. They even, I mean, I don't know if they grew up together, but they were friends even before they started working together, right?
Yeah, they were making shorts together.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids, they were still like after Evil Dead, they were still making shorts. They were big into like Three Stooges, so there was like silly, zany, like pie in the face kind of shorts, but they're all pretty great.
We just kind of got, I think it's just from kind of hanging out with Dad and those guys when we were really little and just seeing them make a movie in our basement. And it just felt like, oh, you make movies in your basement. That's what you do. And it's not a big stretch to do that. So I think every time we make a movie, it's kind of like, you know, even though it's this huge undertaking, a lot of people get kind of, you know, paranoid about that. We're just kind of like, well, you know, just get all your friends together and you make a movie.
Our poor mom, like, so I came home like right after Evil Dead wrapped, I guess I was born. And she brought me home to like, I think she said there were like 10 people in our basement at all times, just like cranking, working on the effects like every
Fake
day. It's
blood
just a party of a bunch of filmmakers.
Well, and
just,
they're all like
working
18
their-
to 22.
Yeah, so they're
you
drunk
got
and
newborn.
partying and also like shooting all day and just like, possessed, with this.
They brought like
making the movie.
cockroaches in and for like effect stuff. They broke all the mirrors in the house because they were using them for like photographic effects, reflectors. And
So flash forward, her sons grow up and start making movies. We've done the same thing to her, just taking over.
Your poor mom.
Like,
she loved it.
our first film we made, Deadheads, we actually came back, we drove straight back to Michigan and just basically took all of her furniture in her entire house and moved it out into the garage, stacked it up, and started nailing up whiteboards everywhere and sort of
We're like, this is the production office,
plotting
Mom,
out
for the next 3 months, just so you know. And
yeah. So
She's had to deal with that because your dad is still involved with helping you guys make movies.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
some extent, right?
He's on set with us every time. Is like he helped with this one with doing. We did some time lapse photography. So and we were like, well, I know Dad's done this like a billion times. So we were like, Dad, how do we not mess this up? So, and he was good.
Yeah,
about that.
we had to kill some plants in time lapse. So we just had them go out and buy like 50 plants and experiment with murdering the plants as fast as he
It's kind of a funny thing though because killing the plant in the time lapse kept on getting bumped on the schedule to shoot.
Yeah.
So my dad was like going and buying plants
like,
every 2 days. He's like, I'm killing the
15
plants.
new
What are we
dead
gonna do?
plants. When's the plant thing? We're like, you're gonna have to get more. We're pushing it. A couple
And we
more
did it
days.
like at the very end. So he was
Yeah.
like buying plants and killing them for like 25 days until we actually did it. It's
pretty funny.
And this is multi-generational now because
Yeah.
your mom and your dad are involved, but your 2-year-old was
A
in
baby.
this movie.
Yeah, I'm a new dad, and it's free labor. We needed a baby for the film.
Yeah.
I actually have another one on the way, so we're like, hey, we got to figure out the sequel quick. But yeah,
perfect age.
yeah, it was funny arriving on set with my kid. You don't know what a baby's gonna do at all. And we're meeting our actors on the first day, and they're like, "Here's my child, act with it," because we're huge, Spielberg fans, and we love like sloppy family life in movies. Like we love when there's overlapping dialogue and a lot of like stuff, just busy. So we tried to achieve that, and we were like, let's put the baby in every scene.
But it made our takes a little too extra sloppy because he just bawled
Oh,
all the time.
no.
So like, we're literally cutting around a crying baby in every scene that he's in. And I'm like,
And you can't be like, damn this baby because it's your baby.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the worst. One of the days we had the best scripty ever. She kept on top of us for everything. It's invaluable because we didn't have much of a scripty on our first movie, and we kept adding the baby and my kid into scenes because we were like, this will be great. This will kind of add that family theme and vibe, and we added him into a scene like this barbecue scene outside, and in the middle of shooting the scene, the scripty like runs up to Brett and I, and we're like, okay, yeah. She's like, the baby's already dead. It was so morbid. Like as a new father, I'm like, my baby's already dead.
Yeah. Well, no, we looked at each other. We were so fried from shooting, and we're just like, baby dead? The baby's dead. Yeah, get the baby out of there. So it was like,
That might be
I
the
guess that's a
sequel,
spoiler.
yeah.
I mean, it's a witch movie.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Nothing.
Now, it was you when you were a kid that walked down and you were traumatized during the filming.
Oh, that
no,
was
it was
this
you.
guy. Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that.
Well,
during Evil Dead, right?
Yeah, they had finished shooting the movie in Tennessee, and they'd come back up, and they realized they needed a big, grand finale effect sequence, and my dad and Tom Sullivan were gonna put it together. They did it in the basement, and they're working out for months and months and months. So they had everybody over for like the grand screening of like, here's the pass at it, guys. It's gonna be amazing. So there's a big projector down in the basement. They're throwing up against the wall. And nobody noticed me just like, I want to see Dad coming down the steps and like hanging out and the lights are off. And I just see this horrendous like demon meltdown. And then the lights come up and my dad just like looks at me, I guess. And he was just like, oh God, my son is scarred for life. And in a lot of ways I
Baby
was.
dead.
Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't go in I hated that basement. I was terrified of it till I was 15 years old. Would not spend any time down
It was
there.
the scariest. It's like a
Yeah.
movie basement. We had like the the thump of the heater down there, that
and
was just
rattling
boom,
pipes
boom,
that drip,
pipes
yeah.
that drip, and like
Yeah.
it was all brick exposed wall.
Yeah.
Like, it
and
was
they
a
had stained the
creepy-
walls with like blood and stuff, so
creepy
it was still like this dark, splotchy stuff everywhere. So it just
and
looked
everything. It was
awful.
you
Yeah.
know, like in Evil Dead, they have the click-on lights, you know,
Yeah.
that don't illuminate, just little pools of light. So it was just like a horror movie, you know, down there.
Do your parents still live in that house?
No, it's in Detroit. They sold it like 7-8 years ago, but
It'd be
like
great to do like a walk, like
Yeah.
a YouTube video of or a Twitch video.
Yeah.
yeah.
A walkthrough of the old place.
Yeah, but it will always haunt my nightmares. I still hate that place. So,
So you mentioned Spielberg and that kind of sloppy family scene.
Yeah.
What would people be? I mean, clearly you guys are fans of horror, and I'd love to know, who,
Yeah.
some of your favorite horror movies.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
before that, I'd love to know what are some non-horror movies, maybe comedies or dramas or animation. You know, what are some of your favorites?
we love Election. That's probably our
Yeah.
favorite
Really,
movie
eh?
of all time. Yeah,
Is that Matthew Broderick?
Matthew Broderick,
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, that's probably my
you know,
favorite comedy of all time.
Yeah,
like
it's just so pointed and like so clever.
Who's the director of that again?
It's Alexander Payne.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just a fantastic comedy.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite comedy. We love Robert Zemeckis. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just another Spielberg. But
I'm trying to think of the weirder ones. I love Danny Boyle stuff. I love this movie, A
Yeah.
Life Less Ordinary. It's quirky and it's
Oh yeah,
weird and it's
wasn't
kind
that
of
his
forgotten.
first one?
I don't know
No,
if it's his
sorry,
first.
Shallow
Yeah.
Grave was the first
Yeah,
one.
but it's almost kind of like a redheaded stepchild of his movies, but I love it like through and through. It's so weird and wacky and has like strange twists and stuff.
Did you see the new one?
Yesterday.
So I'm a huge, but before we
Yeah.
talk about it, I'm a huge Danny Boyle fan. I loved pretty much everything he's done. And then I keep hearing, I've just been so busy
Yeah.
lately, I haven't seen Yesterday. And I loved the concept, but
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is that the concept is a bit overshadowed by a bit of a droopy love story. Is that true?
It is, yeah. It's got some really good. I'm just like such a fan. Anytime somebody pulls off comedy and you can make somebody laugh, to me it's like gold and near impossible to do that. It's just like pulling off a really good scare in a horror movie. It's got some really good comedy in it though, and it's got really likable characters. But it is a little kind of that element is predictable, so there's never a surprise to it. So yeah.
I mean, I love the concept. And
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
music fan and a Beatles, are you guys big music fans?
We're big music.
we're Score fans.
We're Score fans.
We
Really?
grew up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're weird.
Yeah,
actually.
it's kind of sad when you're like a teenager and like everything you've listened to is like John Williams and
And you
Bernard
work on
Herrmann
Jerry
and
Goldsmith
Jerry
or
Goldsmith.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Well, it's
Like,
because
we
of
were
our dad.
obsessed.
We would just take trips. We'd be going up to Toronto or whatever, and he would just play film scores in the car constantly. And I became obsessed with film scores and would buy them. So it was weird. We got into high school and it was kind of like we've had no pop culture influence other than like film scores. So we started
was
soaking it
sad.
up in high school. So
Yeah.
I mean, we are now. We listen to everything, but it was like. You know, we were the nerds that were like, "Oh man, let's listen to Jurassic Park." No, let's listen, kind of type.
Well,
It was ridiculous.
I actually play in a cover band called Balboa, and we do exclusively the music from the Rocky movies.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
awesome.
You know, the Bill
Yeah.
Conti stuff, and
Yeah,
not
cool.
just the pop songs, and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rock
yeah.
songs, but
Okay,
the
good.
orchestral stuff as well.
That's great. Yeah.
I get the sense that you share a very similar aesthetic. Like your tastes are very similar. Do you work well? Like, first of all, is that true? And do you guys work well together, or is
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, the things
mean,
we
we-
differ on. We
Yeah.
We fight before anyone sees us on set. That's what it is. And it's not a bad fight. I mean, it does get a little, we get a little 2-year-old sometimes about it. It's
Yeah,
kind
but
of like, you want to kick out my idea that I really like? Well, your idea is terrible, and it needs to go too.
But because we're brothers,
Yeah.
the good part is
Yeah.
there's like no ego about it. At the end of the day, we're just
Yeah.
like we want the best
Yeah.
movie. So
Yeah, there's
when we
been so
do
many
fight, a
times.
lot of times the next day, one of us is like, "You're totally right," like
Yeah.
it's this funny petty thing we do. But yeah, I mean it's a great working process. I mean we both we work we're methodical. We storyboard. I'm a storyboard artist. That's like my
Right. And you work in reality TV.
I
Yeah.
worked in reality TV.
So we
I
kind of
produced it for
have
years.
these different skill sets that we've sort of developed just outside of doing our directing and stuff, which has been great for the movie because you have to have, as a director, you can't be the introverted director that,
Right, exactly.
You have to have so many different skill sets. It's not like, I got my vision, I'm going to put it on screen. You kind of have to be able to juggle so many different things. And it's great because we both have, different, I'm definitely more like, I'm a visual artist. I went to school for like animation and design and all that stuff. So like handling the poster and storyboarding and all that kind of stuff. And Brett has a little bit more of a writing background and production stuff and all that.
So you complement each other.
Yeah, we complement each
Yeah.
other. It's it's just a constant back and forth until we think it's completely worked out. So that when we get on set, it's like, if you talk to me, you're going to get the same answer. If you talk to him, you're going to get the same answer.
That's good. Like parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it really is.
I think we actually have to wrap it up because
Okay.
there's people coming in.
Yeah.
But in 30 seconds or less, because this is a horror festival
Yeah.
at Fantasia, or horror-ish,
Yeah.
and this is a horror film, best horror movie of all time, you each have 2 answers.
Oh, I can say 2?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Halloween and, oh man, it's so hard. There's so many. Halloween.
The original?
Yeah, the original. I love the original Halloween. Perfect. The Thing and Alien are tied.
Okay.
So,
fair
okay, I
enough.
just got to say.
That's
yeah.
3 amazing
Okay,
movies.
okay, yeah.
I'll give you 3.
Yeah.
3?
Yeah.
I love Evil Dead 2.
The better one, right?
The one my dad didn't work on. I love to tell him that one's the best.
Yeah.
And probably, I think I love Aliens. It's a little more actiony, but that
So
one
you're
just-
Alien, you're Aliens. You really do compliment each other.
Yes.
And yeah, we're probably on the same page. Halloween is just a classic. I love that movie so much. It's so, yeah.
I've liked every iteration. I liked the Rob Zombie ones, and
Yeah.
I liked the most recent one.
Yeah.
Maybe Mike Myers is the.
Had so much. They've done so many of them, but I'm not tired yet.
And they just announced 2 more. We're
two more.
excited.
And the last one's called Halloween Ends, and when I saw it, I was like, no. That's not
Well,
Yeah.
on that note, interview ends. But
Okay.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah,
it's a pleasure to meet you
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good luck with the movie. Good luck with all your other movies, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, cool.
Cool, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
So Nick and Malik, welcome to Depth of Field. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
You guys are in Montreal for Fantasia for what looks to be a really cool movie, Killerman, starring Liam Hemsworth and yourself,
Yeah.
and Emery Cohen, who I recently saw in the movie about the black metal scene in the Norwegian.
Oh, Jonas Ackerlund film.
Yeah.
It was dope.
He did
You
really
got
good in
major
that.
cred for that role.
So give me, well, first of all, what's it like to be back at Fantasia? This is a festival that really was good to you 2 years ago for cash only.
I think it's the perfect festival for our film. You know, first of all, we had an amazing run, which started with Fantasia with cash only a couple of years back, put us on the map, and we kind of owe Killerman happening to that start at Fantasia.
Oh yeah.
A few years back, yeah, because it played here, it did really well, had a festival run, and then got this little cult kind of genre following, I'd say, right? And and then that led to us getting Killerman put together. Killerman was written before Cash Only, but that made a lot of noise, and so we're back. And I think just violence, crime, gritty, raw, feels at home at Fantasia.
And it's hard to describe what the home that Fantasia provides is, because it's as much fantastical, space science fiction as it is gritty crime dramas.
And raw horror and Asian, you come to get your dose of Asian crime films here.
Have you guys seen a lot of movies since you've been here?
This year, we haven't. We're actually
I saw a film last night by, I carpooled with the kid, British director, Adnal something, but A Good Woman is Hard to Find. And it was fucking dope, very well done. And shit is changing. So, I think before, historically, this festival was like horror, genre. Now it's just like,
just a cool mix of interesting films.
the industry as a whole, it's like the borders are shrinking, and I think audiences are just getting smarter, and every year I think.
And it's like a hardcore, cool, no fancy. It's just a great, I think, environment to show a film here.
Yeah,
you get
and I
an honest, real people kind of
passionate
feel.
fans.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of. I have nothing against industry, and but some festivals are so heavy on that side that you don't know what people really think until it. Here you know what people are going to think, and so it's a great place to show a film. And we showed in this theater, so it's nice sitting with 500 people watching your movie.
Yeah, what was the reaction like?
It felt amazing.
I thought
it
they were
felt like
booing,
up-
dude.
Well, in France, I think booing is the sign
They
for
were hating
appreciation.
all my shit. No.
No, it felt great. There was like a huge, we didn't know what to expect. Like when it gets to the end, and you kind of, I don't want to give anything away or any spoilers here, but when the payoff kind of comes, you felt this like big, I think, tension relief in the room, and people are clapping when the people that should get killed are killed. And
Yeah, and there is a real kind of energy where it's not like, people care. You know, they care about the film makers and the experience, and you know, it's absolutely a great, you know, platform here. They have a great community and culture, and but no, it's nice because you don't, you know, Malik could talk about this better, but you get so close to a film when you're editing it and all that stuff that goes with it, and it's like, oh shit, well, how's it going to be to watch it with people?
What are people going to think? You know, it's hard. You can't ever separate yourself from the film. You know, you put it together, you put the score in, you feel it raw, and then it kind of fully comes together. And what's it really matter? In the end, it's about, you know, the reception, what people think. Do they like the characters? Do they get behind them? And so far, so good. We feel pretty good with both on the critical side and on the, you know, the moviegoers that came here and seen it.
Well, I would assume that, you know, studio movies and big budget movies have test screenings.
Yeah.
And this is, you know, here you get to be, you might not have, you know, a series of test screenings, but you get to actually experience people reacting on the spot.
Right. And you know how dead in the water you are, or you're like, all right, we're making another movie, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So can you give me the elevator pitch of Killerman for those who haven't seen it or are interested in seeing it? If you could break it down to like a 30-second. Oh shit! I feel I've insulted the man.
No, those are tough. It's a raw, gritty, New York set crime thriller where two best friends think they have the deal of a lifetime and ends up blowing up in their face and putting them on a escape with their lives, chased through New York, where the story's main characters pretty much lose everything they have, and barely make it out alive. But at its core, it's really a buddy film. I mean, it's two best friends, and the lengths that human beings will go to save each other.
Mm-hmm. I still think that they're gay lovers.
It's
not that there's anything wrong with that, right?
No. He thinks there's like a love interest between.
Low key.
Yeah, not love between them, but. I think friendships, for me at least, go, you know, sometimes between men or between women are stronger than, you know, relationships between husband and wife and father and son and brothers, because I think we're all looking for that sort of brotherhood. And cops have it, firemen have it, you know, guys that go into war have it, and so do criminals. But in this film, there's things that we don't know going into the story as viewers that kind of come to surface later that fuck with your thinking on all that. Like, what is a real friendship? You know, if I come into a relationship or situation where I actually don't like you and my job is to be against you, but we form a friendship, whether it's a person in a war going into a foreign land and liking someone from that land, or you know, whatever the situation might be, two criminals who are competing who become friends. And, you know, so it's I think that is something that in this story we come to realize and discover, and it's interesting.
Are there movies that you can name that have captured that essence, like that influenced you when you were creating this film?
So many films. I mean, I think in terms of, you know, the friendship and brotherhood, you know, classics like, you know, Scorsese's films from Mean Streets and Goodfellas to, you know, even
Midnight Cowboy, maybe.
Midnight Cowboy, 100%.
Yeah.
A lot of Sidney Lumet's films, you know, Prince of the City, and you know, just that kind of world and that environment. Eastern Promises is a good example of Vincent Cassel and Vigo, and even looking at that dynamic.
God, that movie is so good.
Were they brothers? Were they best friends? But wait, one of them's an undercover cop and one of them's a crook. And also Vincent Cassel's relationship, like what he was saying, yeah, maybe joking, but Vincent Cassel was in love with Vigo in that film. Yeah. And but it was an odd, but I think sometimes in those worlds, there's nobody closer to you than your partner in crime.
Well, you know what's interesting is that I saw this meme come up the other day, and it was basically photos of boxing press conferences where the weigh-in where they're face to face, and they were comparing it to gay wedding photos, and it was like you really can't tell the difference. And so sometimes, you know, the context is everything.
Yeah. And you are what your opponent, what your enemy, what your, you know, competitor is in a lot, you know, in those situations. And you know, you're kind of matching up and looking at characters in Killerman. You know, the bad guys too. You know, that you have the two cops that are partners that watch each other do some heinous fucking things in this film, but they go home. Like, one guy's got a wedding band on, and the other guys, you know, they have relationships and they have girlfriends and wives, and they have a life outside of this film. And it's really hard in a film like this, especially because it's so fast-paced and it's a chase kind of crime thriller.
Yeah.
You don't go home with the guys as much as you'd like to, but I hope that people at least feel that these are human beings and real people, and not just kind of the, you know, plot-driven device guys.
Personal question, feel free to not answer it if you don't want, but do either of you guys have friendships, or even with each other per se, that reflect that in your own personal lives?
Well, I think, yeah, we do. Me and him definitely do have that friendship, where we're not brothers, but we can kind of go at it like brothers, and 5 minutes later, nobody around us
knows.
Gets it. So it's just like, whoa, these motherfuckers are going at it, even on set sometimes, and I have to watch it, like, because, you know, it's when you're dealing with someone that closely.
Malik hoed me out a couple of times.
Hold you out, huh? How did that
No,
go?
not hold him out.
I
I'm
was
just
his
like,
bitch a couple
yo,
times.
dude, that's not how you hold a fucking hose. It's like don't you water your fucking grass? And he's like, no, I don't water my fucking grass. I got a landscaper, you know. So it's like,
Because
It's a shorthand, basically.
it's a shorthand,
Yeah.
and it comes in handy. And you sort of wish you had that shorthand with everyone, but that's what I think the beauty of when you look at Scorsese and De Niro, or if you look at Paul Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis, or if you look at James Gray and Joaquin Phoenix, you know, those second and third and fourth films benefit from that first film, and the relationship and kind of where things go. And so, or if you look at sort of the Maisels brothers in Salesman, which is a big like film for me, and just the style and the verite, and you watch that film and you're like, there's no way this is a documentary. Because how did the camera get in these people's houses, and this guy's trying to sell Bibles, and it's a documentary. Oh, it's an amazing film.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's kind of like one of the key films for me making Street Thief, my first film, but it's a documentary, and it won a ton of awards, did a lot of festivals. It may have been nominated for an Academy Award. Maisels Brothers is just amazing.
It was
and I
like
think
60, 69 or some shit.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Old.
And then if you look at Dardenne Brothers films, you know, their films I think benefited a lot from that style of filmmaking and approach. So, and that comes into play with what we're doing, is just trying to create real environments for real people to live in, and, you know, put stories on the screen that I think are around us in the world.
And yet you had a big star who, you know, probably created a bit of a surreal aspect to the movie.
Yeah. And I think he did an amazing...
Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, Liam Hemsworth, who did, I think, an amazing job of immersing himself in that world. And I think that's another thing, when you watch this film and you get to where it needs to get, you'll be like, oh shit. So now it makes sense. So lots of things I think you see early on in the film where you're like, wait, this doesn't, what's going on?
I like a movie like that.
And then when you get there, you're like, oh, so I was right. You know, but it doesn't happen in a lot of films, but it does. So again, it's hard not to, there's so many spoilers things I can mess up in this film, so I'll try not to, but I think Liam did a phenomenal job in kind of making it feel real to who his character was at his core.
Cool. Now, apparently we have like a minute left. So I want to ask you, this being a show about movies in general, you've named a bunch of different influences, but if you guys could name me your two favorite movies of all time.
Oh, shit.
I mean, the first things that come to mind, you know, I always say, for me, it's Barton Fink and Baraka. There, that's, no, because I also love Days
Yeah,
of
Baraka
Confused.
was amazing.
Yeah.
I can't do you know, it would take me a month to do a top 15 favorite films list.
Okay, in your mind today, what are two movies that you just can't get out of your head?
You know, that again, that's such a. I try to separate, you know, favorites, if you will.
You should have done this at the beginning. You should say, hey guys, I want you to think of some films that by the end,
I've got a new way to ask.
You'll get to.
I kind of try to separate, obviously, by era.
Yeah.
It's like it's the rap thing, you know. It's like Tupac,
I think
Biggie.
Okay.
Apocalypse
Or
Now,
LeBron,
maybe,
Michael
for
Jordan.
me.
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now is probably a good one. You know, it's tough because Iranian films come to mind, and,
Oh, yeah.
and some, you know, just crime films, Lumet films. I mean, there's so many good films that come to mind, but then when you drop the name, you're like, I mean, There Will Be Blood's a huge one for me.
Yes.
Love There Will Be Blood.
Because there's that CNN series now about the movies, and
Yeah,
I was watching it last
Q&A
night.
is a great character, kind of New York, raw, gritty cop kind of a movie that I love.
Heat is.
Oh, Heat, like heist film, best, I think, heist film, pound for pound, out there. You know, so Man's a big one. Dardenne brothers, you know, great directors. L'Enfant is an amazing film.
A Prophet, you know, like that.
Amoris Perros. Oh, A Prophet.
Yeah.
You know.
Eastern Promises. Amoris Perros. Yeah, so there's.
This
you
is
know,
good. We got a good list here.
There's
I mean, fucking Gaspar Noé. I mean, it's such a.
Gomorrah.
Gomorrah.
I think Gomorrah would go much higher on the list than even some of the films that I name. I think it's a masterpiece.
Wow,
I think that
okay.
verite crime, what a lot of American crime films can't really do, they did and pulled off, like taking you into a world and really
Immersing
brilliant,
you.
kind of complex characters and world films. So yeah, Gomorrah would be top 5 for me for sure.
And you know, like, me and Malik's tastes are different. You know, like he'll dig deep into the crates and put me onto some shit, and vice versa. You know.
You do that too with some films.
And so, but then I'll fuck around and watch like another 48 hours.
The Pusher
Well, you're also
films.
wearing Boys in the Hood
Yeah,
t-shirt
John
right
Singleton.
now.
You know, John Singleton is, you know, God rest his soul, is was. I worked with him on Abduction. It wasn't, you know, the greatest film, but it was such an experience, and you know, so there's so many genres.
And I have to
and
plug
times.
Slatko. We're out of time. I don't know if this will make it in, but Slatko Buric, who
Pusher.
played Milo in the Pusher films, you know, Refn's kind of breakout films, plays Perico in this and did an amazing, phenomenal job. And Pusher, you know,
Pusher 3 for me is like my.
Pusher 1, 2, and 3 are all brilliant, but Pusher 3 is a great film, and that would be in the top 10 as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it was a dream having Slatko.
Yeah, I was starstruck, like
he
just
was.
being around him.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Well, I think for our viewers, there's a lot to chew on, a lot of
Yeah,
movies
cool,
to see.
cool.
I thank you very much
Thanks
for
for
coming.
having us, man.
Thank you for being
bro.
here, and continued success.
Cool, man.
Word up.
Renaud Gauthier, welcome to Depth of Field.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for
Thanks
being
for
here.
having me.
So your movie, which we're playing here, which you're playing here at Fantasia, Aquaslash.
That's right.
I love the concept. This is, if I may, it's a slasher film where the playground of the slasher is a water park.
That's, you know, you were absolutely right.
It's water slides with really razor sharp blades.
It's actually like a graduation weekend for a couple of students in Connecticut. And one, you know, is it the janitor? It's a whodunit, actually. Somebody's crazy enough to put huge razor blades in the water slides. It's not small razor blades.
No, they're massive.
It's a massive thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's pretty much the concept.
So where did this? I love the idea. You know, the first image I saw is the opening. This, I think it was maybe even in the trailer, the opening at the end of the water slide, and the water's coming out, and all of a sudden it starts to go red, and I was like, it's almost like Jaws, but you know, a completely different.
It has a shining thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just I don't know. It's all movies start from an original idea, and that's it. And we needed, come to think of it, we needed. I think the Blood Brothers, which did the effects, they used like 4,000 liters of fake blood. They had to rerun it with a huge pump, and we had to take apart the slides and then bring the redness back in, because it would disappear almost instantly.
Exactly, because it dilutes.
Yes.
I did an interview once with the Roadkill Superstars, the ones who did Turbo Kid, who I think Blood Brothers worked on.
The guys, yeah.
And we basically went and did a whole. They showed me how to make fake blood, and it's.
Everybody has their own recipe, but it's always contains fucking corn syrup for some reason, and then it's like, yeah, let's shoot, and then
But did you have some kind of traumatic experience on a water slide that led to this?
No.
Because first of all, I've been to that. Can we say where it was filmed?
Sure.
So it was filmed at the
It's on
Super Aqua
Connecticut.
Club here in Montreal. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, fuck, I've been on that water slide before. I'm never going back. But I've had 2 mishaps on water
mishaps.
slides. Yeah. One was when you're going down in an inner tube, the inner tube flipped, and I hit my head and had a concussion.
Well.
And the other one was, we were talking about Cascado, which is an old...
Cascado, I've seen a lot of injuries there.
Yeah, because they had the super
They
steep
had
ones.
the bassin, and then you'd stop, and then 50 people would jam up, and then somebody would ram, and then somebody would go outside and get a concussion. Maybe it was you.
But, well, you mentioned...
I saw many nosebleeds there.
Right. Well, why, were you scouting? Were you going to a lot
No,
of...
that was when I was a kid,
Oh,
and
okay.
when I wanted to shoot back then at Piedmont, which was torn down right now. But it's just as dangerous at Super Aqua Club. Shh.
But the other injury that I had was at Cascado on the super steep ones, and you mentioned before off camera the seams. And when you're going really fast, I took a chunk out of my elbow because you're going
It's
so
still
fast.
there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I needed, for the purposes of the film, I needed a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
But then we used they used the tubes, and I had to had. The thing that's cool, that's gory, is that they go in groups, and it's a competition.
Yeah.
So there's 3 slides. One of them, obviously, spoiler, there's blades, and 3 people go at the same time. So that's what's.
That's a lot of, there's a lot of momentum.
And we were talking about the seams. Usually, when there's the rubber tires, the rubber, how do you call that?
Inner tube.
Fucking inner tube.
Yeah.
Well, if you're on your butt, well, you get a little, I guess it could put the actors in a good mood.
Speaking of actors,
Yes.
I'm going to reveal to you something that I was pleasantly
You're
surprised
full of
to see.
secrets.
Yeah, I know. I was in a high school band with one of your actors, Nick Walker.
I was going to say, is it Nick?
Yeah, exactly. Nick Walker. Shout out to Nick.
Nick, right on.
Yeah, he played guitar in my high school band. And you know who our manager / van driver was?
No.
Justin Trudeau.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
brush with celebrity.
So your prior movie was about a man who goes on a psychopathic killing rampage after discovering disco music.
Yes, I brought you a copy.
Awesome, right?
Gift.
Disco Path.
Yeah.
So you clearly, and I mean this in the most respectful, reverent way, you have a very fucked up mind when it comes to horror concepts.
I grew up at the Grindhouse Garderie, if you may.
Garderie being daycare.
Yeah.
Grindhouse
My
daycare.
father used to dump me at Cinema Chamédé. It was $1 from noon to 6, and they'd show us every fucking movie you can name, from the Pink Panthers to the, I don't know, Morricone, all kinds of stuff. And once I was 8 or 9 years old, and I saw Death Race 2000. And I'm like, La Course de la Mort,
Yeah.
all dubbed in French, bad, weird dubs. And then I was like, whoa, and so I pretty much saw all these movies, horror, Canuxploitation movies, Terror Train.
Canuxploitation,
That's what I aim to do, Canuxploitation, like a movie shot in Montreal that takes place in Connecticut, or
There was a movie I saw many years. I was a big fan of ski movies when I was a kid, like hijinks.
Hot Dog?
Hot Dog, yeah. But there was one that I came across years ago called Iced. That was
Iced.
It might have been a Canuxploitation because it was like a killer
There's loads.
ski movie.
Killer ski movie.
Yeah, it
God
was
damn it,
amazing.
I always strive to be original, so this one's about the guys hear disco, goes crazy, kills people, and then the water slide, the razor blade thing. I haven't heard of this ski killer. Iced.
It's a classic.
Okay, iced. I thought heist.
Oh, heist, it could be that as well.
No, iced as in iced.
Yeah, exactly. Put them
Wow.
on ice.
I want to see that.
I also read in some reviews that they were referring to this movie, and maybe even your style, or more specifically this movie, it's Screwball.
Aquaslash?
Yeah.
I gave a director's cut a couple of months ago, and they're like, yeah, but there's too much screwball. So now they're trying to, I don't know what's going to, they're recutting it a bit. I hope for the best. You can't control any aspect of a movie. It was great to shoot and all that, but I enjoy the screwball genre.
Well, that's
You
it.
need that in a film. There's even screwball in this.
And so how would
There's
you define...
screwball in this.
But how would you do? I mean, horror screwball. There's not a lot of that.
Well, some screwball. You need your gore, you
Yeah.
need your mystery, you need your thrills, you need your sex, and you need your camp and your screwball.
camp, right, exactly, yeah.
I would fit that under the camp category, which the people they're trying to eradicate or something for some reason.
Bastard.
I don't know.
So if we were to look at some of your favorite horror movies, because, you know, I had some other interviews earlier, we were talking about real classics, Halloween.
I like Terror Train.
Terror Train.
Well, yeah, Terror Train, which
Okay.
is a Conexploitation movie.
Yeah, okay.
Shot it right here in Montreal.
Tell me more about it.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, really?
Terror Train, Le Train de la Terreur, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, usually I'm not on the hot seat like this. Terror Train, okay.
Well, I like Conexploitation, Visiting Hours, Happy Birthday to Me.
Yeah.
All shot in, and I was at a party a couple of days ago. I'm talking to this guy, George. Hey, George, I'm drunk. I'm having trouble with my director's cut and all that. He's like, relax, it's okay. And are you George Mihalka? He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So My Bloody Valentine,
Yeah.
which is a classic. And story, my dad rented a VHS when I was a kid, and it was like 1984, I don't know, 5, and he's like, let's watch this movie, Halloween 2. And I gotta say, I was scared. It's a rip. I don't know, 12, 11.
Okay. Yeah.
It was, you know, it's hard to, right now, I always have trouble getting scared. Even this movie is not that scary. Aquaslash, more screwball than scary. But it's hard to be really scary. I think The Shining is a bit scary.
What do you think of Dr. Sleep? Do you think it's going to be...
The movie?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
the planet?
But, you know, they've announced, there's even a trailer, I think, now, right?
I haven't seen any of this. I actually shook hands. I was 5 hours waiting in Paris to shake hands with Steve King, because I really read everything. And he actually signed my book, Dr. Sleep. Or as they say in France, Dr. Sleep. Slip. Like,
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. And I'm like, no, it's Dr. Sleep.
But apparently he wasn't so thrilled about The Shining.
The movie, yeah. Everybody thought it was like a pulp novel, and you know, even Kubrick was like, oh, you know, they may. But then, did you see the new version they did, which is
Of The
they
Shining.
did like a mini series or whatever a couple of years back.
Yeah.
The movie's
Apparently-
better. you know,
And Stephen King was more
Yeah.
aligned with the TV series.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you make of? We only have like 2 minutes left, but this
Call
kind
me.
of-
Call me.
the intellectual horror movement, you know, be it Get Out and Us, or you know, It Follows, or It.
Yeah.
Do you think we're in a golden age?
I
right
think
now?
we're in a. It's still. It's. You know. I love all these movies. I don't know. I think it's a good time. It's a good time. Stranger Things. You
Yeah.
know. It's great. You know, what can I say? I enjoy watching it, and I hope my spirit can my DNA remains in the Aquaslash cut that's coming up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the campiness, the screwball, that fine recipe of all these elements needs to be balanced. If not, you know.
And how much control do you have on?
I had none whatsoever.
A lesson to you guys: don't be the director, be the producer. I
Yeah,
guess,
exactly.
right?
It's first time I know produce. I'm like, yeah, what about this? They're like, hey, guys, hey, what about? Isn't this funny? No? Yeah.
Well, we
gonna
are
be
out
great.
of town.
It's gonna be fun.
Sorry, I said town. I meant to say time, but we should go out of town. We should go water sliding together. You
Anytime,
live here in
anytime.
Montreal, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
My-
come on
my
the show
hometown.
again. We'll
Book
do
me
a
again.
full live
We'll-
stream, and we'll
Sure,
talk
man.
about some of your favorite
Anytime.
movies. Awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so
man.
much.
See ya.